Hello, my name's Ted. This is the Issues of Life, and we've been talking for quite some time, digging into what we know as the Lord's Prayer, and we're coming to the end of that. We've looked at looked at it in different sections, just dissecting, just trying to get into the mind and heart of Jesus about what he really meant that to be, what he for us, um, which uh, I do not believe that he ever meant that prayer to be just a mantra that we repeat verbatim over and over again. Um, I think he meant it as a kind of like a an outline of principles that we can discuss with God and dig into and learn more and more about our communication and our relationship with God. Starting out with our Father, uh, using the word Abba, which means daddy, talking about that the first and most important step in our relationship with God, in our connection with God, is understanding that He is our daddy. He has a father's heart. He loves us with all of his heart as a father loves his child. And that our position as children, that we can come to him as a child and say to him, Daddy, here I am, and trust him uh, in the same way as a child trusts his daddy when he comes to him. And then we went kind of section by section and just dissecting and learning. But the fact of the matter is, we could look at it from here to eternity and not exhaust the understanding that Jesus wants us uh, to have about our relationship with God and about our communication with God. So, all that being said, we are wrapping it up with the last part of the Lord's Prayer that says, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. And I'm going to be honest, I struggled with this one. As a matter of fact, um, I brought some questions to my mentor here um, about it because we we need to understand that God, being perfect in all of his ways, is never going to lead us to be tempted by sin. Okay, he's never going to. That's just never going to happen. He's not going to say, "Well, go here," and cause us to be tempted to do something against His will or do something sinful, like rob, steal, murder. You know, some of that stuff. The thousands of sins that we can mention. So uh, that's just never going to happen. God doesn't do that, and so I think when we're praying, when Jesus' intention is uh, that that our heart, when we connect with God, is to express a heart that says, uh, Lord, don't let us be tempted to fall back into sin, but deliver us from that. Lead us into your perfect will. Guide us by your love and by your spirit to the point of these these things that we were previously tempted to do that were sinful, that now they won't have any power or any place in our lives. It'll become so weak that we won't even be able to consider it temptation. Let me give you an example in my life. For years, I was addicted to marijuana. And then I started going to church in my mid-20s. And God was doing a lot of things in my life. I go over to my friend's house, one of my best friends, to share all these awesome things that God is doing in my heart and in my life. And the first thing he does is he pulls out his stash of weed. And immediately inside of me was this feeling that I couldn't resist, this temptation that I could not resist. And so I ended up smoking it, and even though I hated it, and when I went home that night, it was Friday night, I was so angry, so mad at myself that that's the night I literally cried out to God and said, you know what, God, I've been trying in and of myself to get rid of all this junk in my life and to be a good person and to follow you, be accepted by you. And I can't do it. I fail every time, take my life, do with it whatever you want. And the next day, or not the next day, but the following Sunday, I go to church and they announce that they were going to have baptisms in water. And that's when I decided that I needed to get baptized, representing that I surrender. This is it, God, take my life, do with it whatever you want. Got baptized, and when I did, everything changed. Everything was new. And I walked out of that building, and the first thing I did was throw a pack of cigarettes in the trash that I had in my pocket. And I can tell you this, that after that moment, I never was tempted to go back and smoke again, to go back and smoke weed again. There wasn't this feeling of temptation where I had to resist. Why? Because I was completely delivered from it. So, I heard a man of God by the name of Edwin Lewis Cole, and I'll finish with this. He said, I'll never forget what he said. He said, the things that you resist in this life will become weaker. The things that you give into will become stronger. Bible says, resist the devil and he'll flee from you. Submit to God. So we'll pick up from there in our next session to wrap everything up. This is the Issues of Life.